About trauma and inner healing. With me here is a businesswoman and a counseling psychologist. So feel welcomed. We'll start with you.
Thank you so much. My name is Michael Kahonu. I'm glad to be back here again and really eager to discuss on the topic of trauma.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Shiko Maina. Thank you so very much for hosting me here tonight, and I'm very eager to discuss with you on the topic of trauma and inner healing.
Feel welcomed.
Thank you.
I hope you're ready. Get your pen and paper ready. My name is Dorcas Njoki. So, trauma and inner healing. So, we'll start with the first segment, that is trauma. So, probably you can help me and my viewer to understand what trauma is.
Well, trauma is just events in life that may cause someone's safety to be in jeopardy, someone's physical safety, which means that it can be something that is life-threatening. It can be their emotional safety, which will make someone to feel emotionally unstable or having emotions that are not in check. And it can also be, psychological, someone having fear that is not really well explained. So basically that is what trauma is, having those life experiences that can be threatening to ourselves and also those around us.
So it affects mentally, physically, every part, each part or every part of.
Yeah, basically it affects three parts of us. It affects our psychological aspect, it affects our physical aspect, in that this traumatic event can cause some things like someone, after experiencing a traumatic event, this person may have feelings or may behave in certain ways that aren't, we term them not normal. Anaweza akashindwa kula, or even sleeping becomes a problem, or even having nightmares. So it affects three parts of our lives: our psychological part, our physical part, and our emotional part.
When you talk about traumatic events, okay, these are events like, can you give us an examples of these traumatic events?
Okay, when it comes to traumatic events, we could say maybe an accident that can cause someone to have trauma. Maybe a loss of a loved one, that one can cause trauma. Maybe assaults can cause trauma. There are a lot of things that can cause trauma.
So does someone feel aware that they are being traumatized, or the event that happened in their life is traumatizing them?
Well, I think it will be well explained if you give it with an example. Most people who are affected by trauma, askari, maybe people serving in the military, or okay, let's use people in the military. You'll find that most times after metoka service and they're back at home, at times these people go through a lot of things, and to them huwa wanataka like behave ni kama wako strong, but in real sense these people are really suffering a lot. So at most times people don't know that they are suffering from trauma because they didn't realize it was trauma. This soldier is trained to go in the battlefield and deal with situations in the battlefield, but are they really trained to deal with, those events or things that are in a battlefield? At times, maybe someone has been in a very terrible accident, and in that accident maybe people died.
Okay, before the accident, let's talk about these soldiers. Are they not being psychologically prepared for the happenings? Throughout the training, are they not psychologically prepared to encounter these happenings?
Well, I wouldn't say they are not prepared. One thing I will say, you cannot fully prepare someone for a traumatic experience. You can't prepare someone for a traumatic experience. Hautaamka asubuhi and useme leo najiprepare, I'm going to face this traumatic experience. It's something that maybe happens out of the blues. Even for these soldiers, they aren't trained at leo we are going to kill the enemy. They're trained to protect their people. You get? So it's not really fair to say that they are not well prepared. But in as much as someone might be prepared to face a traumatic experience, but it's really difficult when now that thing becomes real to you. It becomes really difficult. It's a really different game.
So At what point do you say that this person is being traumatized? At what point? Let's say the accident person. At what point can you tell that actually this person is really traumatized or was really traumatized by the accident?
I guess when it becomes hard to let it go, because you could have an accident and the way a person will react, it's different from the way we will react. So you could be either traumatized when it takes time for you to accept what has happened. So that can lead you to trauma. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's use that example of an accident. When someone has been in an accident, it becomes difficult for them to accept it because maybe they're still in that moment of shock. They're still in that moment of disbelief. They don't believe hii kitu imefanyika. And most of it happens more so when unakuja unapatiwa news, maybe someone you love has, they've passed on. It becomes really hard for you, in as much as ni ukweli, but you don't want to believe it. And it's almost, we could say, the first step when we are experiencing a traumatic experience. Moment of shock. You don't want to believe what has happened in as much as it's true. So most times that's what happens. Like mtu unajipata in that state of shock, and then you become heightened to that situation. Like I know of people haezi akapanda basi because of something that happened to them previously. So this person akiona ni kwenda kupanda basi, afadhali akae kwa nyumba, mkuje mumtoe kwa nyumba or mumpige ndo inge kwa hiyo basi because of something that happened. In as much as hakutakuwa na an immediate danger then, but this person would not want to be in a particular situation because of what happened to them. Now that is when we term it, this person is really experiencing trauma.
Okay. What about relationship wise?
Okay, relationship wise, yeah, relationships can lead to trauma. That's the truth. But pia ina depend. So unajua kuna ile aujaona red flags, aujaona red flags at all. Maybe you people were okay, then it happens that mumeachana. Hiyo inaweza kulead to trauma. But kuna zingine zenye maybe you saw a red flag, so ukiachana hata una issue, but ile yenye you are just okay from the word go, mumekwanga tu mkinini, so that one can lead you to trauma.
It just caught you unawares.
Yeah, it just caught you unaware.
So how does this traumatic experiences affect someone's life?
Well, wacha kwanza tuguzie hiyo ya relationships kidogo. Or maybe I may ask Shiko, so should someone pay attention to these red flags, like unafaa okay, no one is perfect. So, what are
Okay, if you spot a red flag, please don't ignore first. Don't ignore. No matter how small it is, please don't ignore. You just know how to handle it on time and the way it's supposed to be handled. Yeah.
Okay, what are some of the red flags we are talking about?
When it comes to relationship. Okay, red flags moja. Where do I see
Shiki simu usiku?
it? Yeah.
Maybe he's sleeping.
But
He's
unajua
exhausted.
kuna ile time yenyewe you people know each other. Kuna vile mnakuwa mume plan on your time. You're supposed to communicate on this time and time. So wewe unajuanga schedule yake, and maybe hiyo time yenye you know his schedules na umempigia, alafu you will know when someone is lying. Pia ukikuwa kwa relationship, you will know when he's telling the truth and when he's not telling the truth. You'll just know cause nyinyi watu mmejuana hivyo, so you'll just know. Utajua time umedanganywa na time unachezwa pia.
Okay, na hizo uongo ndo the red flags now.
Yes, pia uongo ni part of the red flags, of course. Na pia hakuwezi kosa mambo moja mbili.
You've had.
So yeah, okay. Thank you. On that part of being in a relationship and then it comes to an abrupt end and it causing trauma, yes, it can cause trauma. I've actually actually heard of people because of being unachwa hanging vibaya sana, mtu anakuja anaamua I am never going into any other relationship, and they actually stay true to their word. Utapata wengine they will